April the 4th. Lake level still about the same it's been the past month or so. It's right at about 916. Water temperature, you know, yesterday I put in down by the dam. It was still right at 50 degrees, but there's a lot of mid 50s up in the river arms, like up in the Kings, Long Creek, up in the James. Quite a little bit of stained water up there. It's warming up a lot faster. The good thing is the next week's forecast, I don't see anything much below 45 degrees at night and a lot of 60s and 70s during the day. So that's really going to get these fish fired up, and they're actually starting to move quite a bit right now. I'm seeing a lot more fish shallow than I've been seeing. We're starting to catch some on a Ned rig pretty consistently. And, you know, still a lot of jerkbait fish and Alabama rig fish being caught. But I know there's the KVD big bass deals going on this weekend, so anybody watching, as far as trying to get information for that, myself, I would probably have to throw a Alabama rig and a jerkbait. You know, we've had some good quality fish this past week on both of those baits, and they're coming from different locations. A lot of them bigger fish, you know, even though there's a lot of fish starting to move up shallow, there's still a ton of them out on the main lake, out in them deeper channels that are going to be moving. They're going to be continue to move for the next month or so. There's still a lot of fish got to come up out of deep water, and that's probably where I would key on for the quality fish. More bluff ends, and even in the creeks, channel swings, secondary points, places where you got deep water real close to the bank, or, you know, to the trees that you're fishing. I like to have, like say, fairly deep water, either behind the boat or pretty close. A lot of times this time of the year, them bigger fish are moving up out of the deeper creeks, and they want a place they don't have to go too far to come up to feed. Now, a lot of them on the jerkbait, you know, it depends on the day, what color jerkbait I'll throw. If it's overcast, cloudy like it is today, I kind of like a solid color bait. If I'm in the clear water, which, speaking of clear water, down there by the dam, the water clarity is probably 15 to 18 foot in spots. It's super clear. Kimberling, it's not as bad. You know, Baxter, Campbell Point, it's extremely clear, but it does have a little green tint to it. The upper river arms, you know, got 2 to 3 foot of visibility, and that's where the water's a lot warmer. But on the A-rig and jerkbait fish, a lot of the fish is suspended, but they are moving up higher in the water column. I'm catching them anywhere from 10 to as deep as 20 foot, but they may be over 50 to 60 foot of water over submerged trees. Now, a lot of the shallower fish, just look for your gravel spawning pockets. The smallmouths seem to be starting to move up on a lot of these kind of gravel do-nothing points. Now, yesterday when it was real dead slick and the water being that clear, we really struggled to get a shallow bite, and you could see the fish up there cruising 3, 4, you know, pounders up there cruising around. But in that clear water, it's just hard to catch. You get the right conditions, you can back off and catch them on a jerkbait. Or we've been catching quite a few, not the big ones, but we've been catching several keepers on a Ned rig, and I've been using a 5-fish lures, Ultimate Ned jig head. It's really an awesome little bait. And you can get these like at Sportsman Factory Outlet in Springfield, Extreme Outdoors in Kimberling City, Heart of House Shell Knob, Pro's Choice and Shell Knob. You need to check these out if you throw a Ned rig a lot. We've got them in 1/8 ounce, 3/16 and 1/4 ounce. Got a little wire guard. If you don't like the guard, just cut it off. They really come through the cover good. And I've been using a Strike King Zero, either a green pumpkin or a dirt color. Also, a lot of these fish on these gravel flats, one day they'll be on the bottom. That's where you want to throw the Ned rig or even a little split shot. And there's going to be, just in the next week or so, a lot of these flats and pockets are really going to start to load up with a lot of numbers of fish. If they seem like they're suspended, a little underspin with like a 2.8 Rage Swimmer or Kitech will work real well, or just a straight Kitech. I don't have one handy there. Yeah, here's one. Just a straight Kitech on a grub head. And now this is a 3.4. A lot of times I'll just mix up the size. You usually catch more numbers of fish on the smaller one, but you'll catch some better quality on the bigger one. Now, those fish I was talking about that was cruising around, especially up in the stained water where you can't see it. Next week we should have fish on beds. And up there in that stained water where you can't see them, a good way to catch them is a wacky rigged, this is a Strike King Ocho, but you can use like a Zero or a Yamamoto Cinco. And what I usually do is got this little tool here. It's got O-rings on it. You slide the bait in there. You slide the O-ring onto the bait. What this does, it helps the bait last a lot longer. Then you take your hook and just hook it into the O-ring. This way when you catch, you're not putting the hook in the middle of the plastic. And especially on some of the baits that have a lot of salt in them where they don't last very long, this will make your baits last a lot longer. Now I use several different hooks. This is a wacky rigged hook that's got a little, like a plastic weed guard on it. There should be a little bit of water up in the brush, up in the buckbrush, and especially in the stained water, these fish are going to move up there pretty shallow, up around the bushes to spawn. Now, if I'm fishing a little bit deeper down in the clear water, I might want something with a little weight. And here's one. It's got a little plastic weed guard. It's about a 32nd ounce weight. Mustad also makes another one with a wire weed guard. I usually use a weed guard on most all of these because I'm usually throwing them around brush. Also, you can throw them in behind the docks, down along the side of the docks. It's a slow way to fish, but it can be really productive. And you just throw the bait out there, and you want to keep a real close eye on your line. Let it sink to bottom, maybe twitch it a few times. And if you're fishing cover, make several little pitches or casts, to the cover. If I'm fishing it on a bait caster, I'll usually throw it on about 10-pound line. Spinning rod, I'll usually throw it on 6 to 8 pound line, or maybe even 15-pound braid with about a 6 or 8 foot 8-pound leader on it. And it's a hard bait to fish in the wind, but if you get into an area where you're out of the wind, it can be, real effective bait to fish. Now, like I say, in this next week or so, there's just a lot of things going to happen. A lot more numbers of fish going to start being caught. There's going to be a lot of fish moving up to spawn. And don't even shy away from the topwater. Usually when that water gets into the mid-50s, I've usually got a topwater bait on the deck in the event that some fish come up schooling. And I've seen a few, not any big numbers, but I've seen a few isolated fish starting to chase shad. But for the next part, like I say, we're really getting into, this is what should have been happening about 2 weeks ago, but we seem like we're about 2 weeks behind. So things are just now starting to get fired up, and with that weather going to be real consistent for the next week, the fishing's going to get real consistent as well. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.